Alrighty, good morning, everyone. We will be starting council's meeting this morning.
Roll call for the City Council meeting of Wednesday, December 4th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Council members Flores, Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, and Witherspoon.
Please stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. During the moment of silence, I would like to mention the young man who passed away this past few days due to the carbon monoxide in his vehicle. I just want people to be very aware that that is a silent killer. We have to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to make sure our homes and our vehicles are safe, because accidents do happen and they're very unfortunate.
Madam President,
Yes, Bill.
prayers to Willie C. McAdory. He's fighting for his life right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion to accept the minutes from the November 20th City Council meeting on bills for payment on December 6th and 13th. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores.
We have no scheduled presentations this morning, and I'm going to ask if we have any repository sales in the audience. We're experiencing a state of emergency with the snow, so I don't expect any, but do we have any repository sales? Do we have any repository sales? Do we have any repository sales? I'm hearing none, so we will move on. I would ask the media to please line up on the left aisle facing the stage and the citizens to line up on the right aisle to avoid confusion. I would like to ask the public to clearly state your name and the municipality for the record. You will have 5 minutes. I'm not hearing or seeing any citizens in the audience to speak today. I know we've received emails and phone calls, and we will be responding to those as quickly as we can, or we already have. Do we have any citizens who would like to be heard today? Do we have any citizens who would like to be heard today? I hear none. We will move on. Lori, go ahead.
Ordinances for final passage. Council file number 16481, official ordinance 67-2024, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $200 from appropriated and anticipated revenue from donations made by Value Home Center, sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Brzezinski. The council file ordinance bill number 16481, and now known as official file ordinance 67-2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council passed official file ordinance 67-2024 finally by yea 7, nay 0. Agenda?
I got it. I have two.
Oh,
I gave it to everybody.
everybody's good? Thanks, Mike. Okay, council file number 16482, official ordinance 68-2024. An ordinance amending codified ordinances of the City of Erie, Sewers and Water, Article 933, Sewer Rental, Section 93302A.
You tabling this, Rook? Yes. Move to table?
Second.
Motion to table, council file number 16482, by Ed Brzezinski, seconded by Chuck Nelson. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Okay, table passes 7-0. City Council File Number 16483, Official Ordinance 69, 2024, an ordinance amending codified ordinances of the City of Erie, Part 9, Utilities and Public Service Code, Title 7, Other Public Services, Article 951, Residential Refuse, Section 95109, Garbage and Refuse Collection Fee, increasing the quarterly collection fee from $287.60 per year to $310.80 per year. The annual collection fee shall be assessed against each dwelling unit and billed on a quarterly basis.
Motion to table.
Second.
Yes.
For clarification, if there is any possible way that we can relieve these fees for the general public, we'll try until we get all the information that we need. I think it's wise that we do the table.
Yeah, we had a holiday. And it got in the way of us having the study session that they wanted to provide the information for the needed background on whether the fees, I mean, we know they're needed, but we have to figure out a way to alleviate the pressure off of the residents. So we're going to do a little bit more homework on this subject.
Any more discussion?
No.
Motion to table, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Council File Number 16483 is tabled by yeas 7, nays 0. Ordinances for first reading. Council File Number 16484, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $750,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. Funds are granted from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development local share account for West A Street reconstruction. Sponsored by Councilmember Brzezinski, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance Number 16484, have been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16484 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16485, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $120,380 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. Funds are granted from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development local share account for 4 Bureau of Code Enforcement vehicles. Sponsored by Councilmember Nelson, seconded by Councilmember Titus. The Council File Ordinance Number 16485 have been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16485 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16486, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $500,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. Funds are granted for the Pennsylvania DCED local share account for a fire rescue pumper. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Number 16486 have been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16486 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16487, appropriating the sum of $487,750 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. Funds are granted from the Pennsylvania DCED local share account for a SWAT armored response vehicle. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance 16487 have been read, as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16487 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16488, appropriating the sum of $151,020 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof from the U.S. Department of Energy EECBG program for door and window replacement at 3 fire stations, sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Brzezinski. The Council File Ordinance Number 16488 have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance Number 16488 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16489, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $1,400,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to be received as a transfer from the City of Erie General Fund and will be utilized in the Urban Core Economic Recovery Revolving Loan Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Nelson. The Council File Ordinance Number 16489 have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council.
Discussion. I'd like to propose a amendment on this that would just be for clarification purposes. At the end of this, on the agenda and on the ordinance itself, I would like to include a phrase to conclude that final sentence, for completion of the Eagle's Nest, just so that it was clear as to what it was clear in the resolution that we did at the last meeting, but I'd like to make sure it's also reflected in the ordinance so that everybody understands what we're doing with this. So a motion to make an amendment to include for completion of Eagle's Nest, or who were the sponsors on it?
Schaaf and you.
So I would like to ask Kathy for a friendly amendment to it.
Sure.
And Chuck, you second?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson? Okay, voting on the amendment.
It's a friendly amendment, so we don't need to vote on it. Kathy and I both agreed as sponsors, so we could just vote on the ordinance as moving forward.
Yeah, voting on the ordinance as amended.
Yeah, Madam President, again, it's important that we understand that this is a loan that will be repaid. It's not a grant. This is something that should have been done probably a year ago, and the kids would be playing in that building today. Anyway, thank you very much.
Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance Number 16489, have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Okay, this takes us to new business. I'd like to point out that on the agenda, number 9, there's a change on the transfer. Well, it's not your number, it's my number 9. The first transfer will be a decreased amount. The second line, 1492, changed to 1292 on both sides, and that would take the total from 202,792 to 202,592. It's just different from the agenda.
Council, can I have a motion in a second to move the balance?
Motion to move the balance.
Second.
Thank you. Any separation?
One for new business.
Number 1 on new business.
Any other separations? Moving the balance of the agenda, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. Reading the separation, sponsored by Councilmember Nelson, seconded by Councilmember Titus, that City Council resolves to direct the Solicitor's Office to draft a resolution to create a 9-person Home Rule Charter Commission as a ballot referendum for the 2025 municipal primary. Discussion?
Just wanted to clarify and explain. So this would not create the ballot referendum. City Council gets to have very little say over this, which is probably one of the biggest hindrances and scariest parts of it, is that all we would really get to do is determine whether or not it goes to the people of our city to create a home rule charter, and to the people that they would elect to write that home rule charter, and then back to the people of the city to approve that home rule charter. So this is something where all city council would really get to do is leave it up to the people rather than the state as to how we're governed. The state did this 5 decades ago. It's antiquated. Every city that has passed us up in population moved a home rule charter around the time that they stopped their decline and moved into a growth. Of the cities that are comparable to us in size in the state, every single one of them is distressed or has moved to home rule charter. Either Act 205 distressed, which we are, Act 47 distressed, or they've moved to home rule charter. The largest city that hasn't, that's still in third-class city, is Bethlehem, which is less than half our size. So I'm hoping that this puts it on the radar, that it's considered, and that in January we would be able to move forward with a resolution to put this on the ballot for our residents, and that we could see our city make the same turn that Reading and Allentown did decades ago. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
No, I think most council just wants to have the study session and the information before we make any decisions. So we appreciate you doing the work to get us the knowledge, Chuck. Thank you.
Oh, Madam President, one more thing.
Yes.
And if anyone would like to see practically how this works out, Lancaster just went through it last month, and their website, their city website, has tons of details as to what that means for their city. And I mean, that's definitely the place to start. It's very informative.
Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Resolution passes yea 7, nay 0. Madam President, I believe this takes us to committee reports.
Okay, we can start with Mr. Brzezinski this meeting, since we started with Mel last time. Take turns picking on you guys.
Baby, it's cold outside. I guess we give kudos to the folks out there 24/7 trying to straighten the city out. Nobody could have expected the amount of snow in the short time that the snow fell. That being said, we have got to do better. There's got to be better plans put in place. There are people still stranded. The wonderful thing that I did notice was that neighbors were out helping neighbors, and that's a good thing. Other than that, the Port Authority had to get PennDOT to come in and plow because we were concentrating on our residential areas, which we should be. Going forward with that, I think it's been too cold to do anything else. Thank you very much. Kath, you can have some
Thank
of my
you,
minutes.
Ed. Thank you, Madam President. I have been getting calls and emails and wanted to express my concern. A few were on council asking if we would put on an emergency declaration that people would not be allowed to be kicked out. And in conversation with our Erie City solicitors, we as a council do not have the power to do that. So I am just putting that out there, that we have received your emails and your concerns. The tenant bill of rights should be on the next agenda meeting. Thank you. As well as I have been driving down the roads, and some are definitely better than others, but they're trying their best. This is pretty epic So I am glad that people are helping people. That's what it's all about. To paraphrase Robert F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Let's put the word city in there. And just please be patient. I'm trying to assist people myself, and this is, John F. Kennedy, sorry. It's been one of those mornings. So I ask that you follow those people who are on social media, the City of Erie government website. And I'll read to you what they put out 16 hours ago. But for those of you socially motivated, please follow City of Erie government, because they have been putting on valuable information. We ask residents to please make every effort to abide by odd-even parking in posted areas. We understand that in some cases this may be difficult due to the volume of snow. Given that not enough spaces are opened up yet, we will not be ticketing or towing yet, but where street crews were able to open up parking spaces, we need people to move their cars to the appropriate side of the street so they can continue to work on clearing the rest of the snow. Due to pressing business needs of the city, we have our city council meeting this morning, so we're able to pass the budget and operate the city. But City Hall will be closed to the public following the 11 a.m. city budget study session. So after this, we go into a financial meeting, then we have our budget meeting, and after our budget meeting, City Hall will be closed. The City of Erie continues to operate under an emergency disaster declaration. City crews are working around the clock to plow the 4 feet of heavy, wet snow that blanketed the city. The Erie Police Department and tow trucks have been working to clear the 254 vehicles that have been blocking intersections and streets, slowing the progress of city plows. We want to thank the residents who have helped with removing their vehicles. There are still 45 vehicles that are preventing some streets from being cleared. This takes a lot of time because the tow trucks and plows keep getting stuck as well. Given that equipment that was promised overnight did not arrive, there are still several areas that have not been plowed, but city crews are working on getting everywhere. As a result of the volume and type of snow, the delay in equipment arrival, and abandoned cars still blocking streets, trash and recycling pickup, including large item pickup, is suspended in the City of Erie until further notice. Today, that was yesterday, and tomorrow, EPD is focusing on removing the cars on the 45 roads throughout the city so snowplows can get through, as well as those on the snow emergency routes. Refuse workers are assisting the Bureau of Streets and the city garage. We now have 2 graders that are assisting with rutted streets. Mine is one of them, but again, I don't have any power to do that. So, it'll be when it gets done, it gets done. Trash service is expected to start again on Sunday, pending further significant weather that could hamper cleanup efforts. Please continue to shelter in place if possible. If you must go out, please use caution on slippery roadways as crews work diligently to clear city streets. For life or death emergencies, please call 911. For non-emergency needs such as non-functioning furnace, wellness checks, elderly or disabled individuals that need help digging out dangerous snow buildup on roofs, Residents are encouraged to contact 211, the United Way's Resource Hotline. I did get a comment to say that this morning someone's texted that's somewhat slow too, but we're trying very hard. The United Way's Resource Hotline. Thank you for your cooperation, patience, and understanding. Please stay safe and warm. But it really does come down to people helping people. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Councilmember Nelson?
Yeah, with the holiday and stuff, I didn't make any committee meetings. However, I wanted to address three things that were on the, just two things that are on the agenda, because I did put a lot of work into those in the last 2 weeks. We're looking at the refuse fees, the expenses, and revenues have to match. That's why things go up. However, we were asked for 4 full-time equivalents to be added, and that is to replace certain levels of casual labor, and there wasn't a corresponding cut to casual labor. So one or the other should go down. And I think we're talking about 1% of the budget on that, maybe a little more than 1%, depending on if it's full-time equivalents or casual labor. So we're still looking at a small reduction of what was originally proposed on that fee increase. And then I spent a lot of time with the sewer budget. There's not really much room to cut expenses there, or any room, in my opinion. But there may be a way of shifting the revenue side of it to make it more reflective of some things that the Water Authority does to protect some of our lower income residents. So that's really, that's where I put most of my time in the last 2 weeks around the holiday. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Troop?
Madam President, just not really a report, but just echo Mr. Brzezinski's comments about the citizens and the workers that are out there. So just praying for everybody, basically. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Titus?
Thank you. To kind of catch up a little bit here, the Erie Zoo Board met on November 26th, and they're continuing to explore innovative approaches for financial stability. Councilmember Brzezinski and I met with zoo representatives, Events Authority Director. It's been a few weeks now to talk about the fiscal restructuring possibilities. The administration and council, we're going to be reviewing the proposals that have been brought forward, and so there's a lot to still be discussed here, but we're continuing to move those discussions. EMTA had their board meeting on November 18th. However, they did not have quorum, so they weren't able to pass anything or vote on anything. They just had their audit, and so I will bring those results forward for everybody next time when we go more into discussion there. Still working on the Tenant Bill of Rights. We've had a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of community members who come forward. We've got this now. We're working on this with the solicitors, and so I look forward to having this hopefully on the next meeting agenda. And then in closing, I wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who's played a critical role in this storm. This has not been easy, and I know that people have been working, especially our plow trucks, tirelessly to keep the roads clear. And I know neighbors have been out helping neighbors. And just thank you, genuinely thank you. The Erie Fire Department, I wanted to give them a special shout out for what they've been doing with their life-saving work. Example, using sleds to navigate people who are in medical distress to get them to the emergency vehicles. The mechanics have been working diligently to keep the equipment up and going. And just as a reminder, this is round one. We have potential for more snow to come. And then as we look to the end of the weekend into the beginning of next week, we start, for a few days at least, the thawing. And that's where we're going to see a lot of heavy weights come down, so when the snow turning into ice, and so a lot of dangerous things can happen in the flood. So being prepared, getting as much snow as we can removed, helping our neighbors when we can, so that we are prepared for what is about to come with the second round of it. And I think we've touched on really everything else, and doing what we can to keep walkways, driveways, and helping neighbors whenever possible. And thank you to everybody who's been working around the clock. And I know there's literally more to come, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Witherspoon?
Thank you, Madam President. I, along with my colleagues, would like to say thank you to the Erie Police Department and the Fire Department for the outstanding job they are doing and will continue to do for the citizens of Erie. Under the conditions they have to work with, they're doing an outstanding job. I got a little touched this morning when I talked about Mr. McAdory. When he addressed council, he addressed all of council. And when I see him after council, he would always say, "Spoon, you my friend, but I mean you too." So there was no separation there. He's in hospice right now. Thank you.
I'm sorry to hear that, Mel. I'm sorry that your friend is experiencing that. I hope things, get a little easier. The holiday season's not easy, I know that. Thank you. I wanted to mention that most of our schedule has been filled with study sessions for the budget. We will be catching up on the budget study session that we missed yesterday, and more than likely we will have our budget session tomorrow, God willing. The snow gets under control. We are under a state of emergency, and I know people have missed work. I've missed work myself since Friday. People are still stuck in their houses, and I know that we have to do a little bit more as far as getting those side streets and the residents cleared of their path. We have an issue where there's still some vehicles blocking. I know on my street it's a one-way, and I still have a couple vehicles in front of my car completely covered in snow since Friday. And I don't know if they are just leaving it, hoping it melts, or if they're waiting for someone to do it for them. But I do know that when I was driving around yesterday, there are still quite a bit of cars in the way. So we as a community have to work together to get ahead of this, because the new snow that's coming is coming, whether or not we are ready. So I want our community to think about our plans that we have. We've seen how fast that snow fell. We're expected about 30 inches as well going into this next couple of days. So I just want people to be aware that if you have a moment to get out and get your supplies, now is the time before the weather changes, because yesterday it was clear and then it started to change drastically. I want to say around 1:32, and it got bad into the night. So I just want us to be prepared. I've driven around, there's lots of ice. I know people need to slow down. I don't know why we're following so closely together. I drive like 10 miles, 15, because I don't want to risk hurting anyone, and I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. I've seen a lot of vehicles over the last couple of days with a lot of damage to them. So that makes me nervous on what's going on. But at the same time, I've been stuck in the house until yesterday. So if you're able to stay in the house, do that. Let the city do their work, because yesterday there was so much traffic on the roads. I don't see anybody being able to plow. So if we're not able to plow and treat the streets, how are we going to get ahead of this? So we as a community have to work together to get ahead of this, and that's the only way it's going to work. I know that we feel like nothing is getting done, but our firefighters and our police officers are doing a great job, along with our public works, who are handling the removal of the snow. So we thank them for their service right after the holiday, because they've been going since Thanksgiving night. And that's insane to think about, that it's already almost a week that we've been dealing with this, and we're still not ahead, but we just have to do what we can to work together, because that's the only way this is going to work. And I don't really have much else to report other than everyone be safe and stay warm, and please, please, please check your dryer vents and your exhaust pipes, because we do not need any other tragedies due to carbon monoxide. It is a silent killer. It has no taste and no smell, so it's dangerous. Thank you. And does the solicitors have any reports? No report. Thank you. Does the administration have any report, Renee?
Good morning. Yes, I'll try to be quick. First, I just want to draw your attention to the grants that we're appropriating today. Those total over $2 million for much needed equipment. So we're thankful to the Commonwealth and to the U.S. Department of Energy for those grant funds. There is a lot of misinformation out on social media, so I just want to provide some clarification on this winter event and some updates, some additional updates. First of all, the Streets Department has been on 12-hour, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., round-the-clock shifts since Thanksgiving. They didn't all have off Friday. They didn't take off from work on Saturday. All available equipment has been out since the beginning. They pre-treated roads, and they've been out plowing. Some of those plow drivers have been working 18 and 20-hour shifts to try to make headway. We have 35 plows in the fleet. At any given time, there were an average of 28 actually on the roads plowing due to trucks having to go in for servicing, broken chains, much needed brakes, and just change of shifts. But the snow that was forecast was total snow accumulation of approximately 8 inches. What we got was, in several areas of the city, 4 feet of very heavy, very wet snow, not a typical weather event that we can deal with. We're a hardy bunch. We know our streets crews do a great job, but this was not a typical weather event. The heaviness of the snow, the wetness of the snow made it very difficult to clear. In addition, with the 254 cars that were stranded in the middle of the road, many streets were impassable. The plows simply cannot get through, especially in the urban core where we have houses very close together and on-street parking because people don't have driveways. This complicated cleanup efforts. Plow trucks were getting stuck, tow trucks were getting stuck. It was just very wet and turned icy. So then we had to bring in equipment that we don't have, more equipment than what we have access to. Wreckers, because people were out on the streets trying to get around, there was a lot of rutting in the streets, and so then we had to get graders to come in. So to give you an example, yesterday crews worked on Parade Street. I know on social media some people commented on it. They were also working on 12th. They had to basically close off the street. They had plows, tow trucks, graders, front loaders, and skid steers to clear the road to make sure that businesses and homes were not blocked in. It took over 6 hours on Parade Street just to do from 28th Street North. So it's very slow going. And even removing the cars, they had a list of 254. They're down to 45 that still need to be cleared. So we know that it's difficult. We still don't have enough parking spaces cleared within the urban core because of cars being parked on both sides of the street. What we're asking residents is if they are able to, if a parking space is opened up on the correct side of the street, please go ahead, dig out and move your vehicle so the plows can continue to get through there and clear more parking spaces. As the council president mentioned, there's another forecast. It's anywhere from a dusting to 3 additional feet. The Emergency Operations Center is working with 211 on answering the calls on their list. They received an additional 200 requests in the last 12 hours alone, and they're trying to get people the help that they need. We have been, under this emergency disaster declaration since Friday, and crews, like I said, have been working around the clock. We will continue to post detailed regular updates on our social media. We also send those to our local news sources so they can report on them as well. And we will also be having the mayor's press conference tomorrow to provide additional updates. But we just ask people, we understand it's been difficult. If you are able to stay home, as the council president said, please do stay home. If you have to go out for medications, for emergency reasons, for food, we understand, but please be careful, drive slowly, check on your neighbors if you can, and just be cognizant also of the pedestrians that are walking in the street because sidewalks are not cleared. It makes for additional dangerous situation. And we thank everybody for their patience and for their resilience in this unprecedented storm.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing. I want people to check their detectors, their CO2 detectors and their fire detectors. Please make sure you guys have batteries that are full or that they're detecting what they need to, because these will go off if you are in the state of an emergency. If your heater shuts off on you, chances are your heating vent is blocked and you need to clear away. And I seen Kathy was going to say something. I just want people to be very vigilant on what we can do to protect our safe space, and doing a little bit of work on our end is painful during this state of tragedy, but it could protect us and our families in the long run. And that's what we have to think about.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you for everyone who said thank you for everyone doing the wonderful job that they are doing. I also forgot to say that, and I'm glad they incorporated the council for saying that, but also the Erie Downtown Partnership has been working as well, and they have a good social media presence. They've been working very hard. But also check on your loved ones that may be living alone, and people with infants and things like that too. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Madam President,
go ahead.
the plow guys, do they have to have a license with the city?
Yes.
All right. Put them on account. I've been made notice of, they're charging $200 to blow out a driveway, and that's totally ridiculous.
the price gouging.
If that happens to you out there, folks, get me the name. I'll make darn sure that the license will be looked at. Totally wrong, $200. I mean, we want to get plowed out, but there's always that few that have to take advantage of the people. And I want to say Merry Christmas early, because I don't want to end on a negative, but there always are people like that, and watch for them. Give me their names. Thank you.
Yeah, the price gouging has definitely started, so I understand you wanting to put that out there. People are going into a holiday and having to pay $100, $200 to get their driveway plowed or getting dug out is unfortunate, and I just wouldn't do business with them, personally. I would find another option, but I know that right now with the demand, it's kind of hard, so hopefully our community's doing what they need to help each other. I mean, I know there's a lot of young kids out of school right now, and they need Christmas money. Where are they at? You know, like, let's get some of these young kids to make some money. I'm pretty sure some of our seniors have a little bit of cash on hand to get out of their house. So let's just do what we can as a community, because we have to be ready. And that adjourns our meeting for today. Thank you for coming.
City Council adjourns at 9:50 a.m. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores.
Because they're probably trying to stay warm. They're trying to find a meal like that.